So, hey everybody. So we are going to be back now with another build. Call it a Paludarium, Vivarium, Terrarium. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this yet. This is an 18 by 18 by 24 Exoterra. I don't normally use these. I typically use the normal standard aquariums, but I'm really looking forward to this. I wanted something taller and was thinking about potentially getting an arboreal species of salamander. I was initially going to get some North American green tree frogs, but they need to be kept at slightly warmer temperatures than the rest of my animals, and I don't really feel like deviating that. I already have a climate-controlled area where I have all these, and I don't want to do the heat lamps. So what I'm thinking is between two species right now, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to figure out what I want to do in here. I think I definitely want a water feature, but you can't put that much water in these. But it would be cool to kind of have a forest floor kind of partially with, flooded with water, and then some wood structure going up with a lot of moss. And it looks like I could, based on this measurement I'm taking, about comfortably 4 inches without getting too close to the top there. So stay tuned. Let's check out what I'm going to do. A lot of this is just going to be going on the fly and trying to be creative and just kind of get my inspiration as I go. Here we are as usual, boiling water and getting the tannins and sterilizing this Malaysian driftwood. They're pretty big pieces. Note that I have 3 left from last time, or 2 left, excuse me, after doing the redo on the 75-gallon terrarium for the tiger salamanders. So I'm going to use those 2 and these 2. So there's going to be a lot of wood. It's going to be cramped because it's an 18 by 18 by 24, but that's the whole point. This is going to be an arboreal setting, so that's why I got a taller tank this time. And I'll try to figure out how I'm going to do it, but this is just the usual right now. And once I'm done, I'll be putting it out to dry and moving on to the next stage. All right, let's start here by drilling a draining hole for the false bottom using a 1/2 inch diamond bit hole saw for a 1/4 inch plug. I'm going to be using this as a guide as I did last time in the tiger salamander paludarium or terrarium. Here's a little putty, some tape, and I'm going to wet that down a little bit here, and I am going to drill a hole. I checked to see if it was tempered. It did not look like it, so hopefully this Exoterra never breaks. I've never done that, so let's find out. And real quickly, here's me in time-lapse drilling that hole for the drainage. I am decided not to do a water feature in this one just because the animals are arboreal. Cleaned it off with rubbing alcohol, and I am putting the Uniseal. It's a 1/4 inch into the 1/2 inch hole that I just drilled. Like I said, you can get these from US Plastics. That's where I've been getting them from. Actually getting pretty low, so I'm probably gonna have to get a couple more soon. You just kind of just stuff it in there is really all you do. I'll be getting the airflow valve and an airline tube. I'll put that in later, but just to show you guys, this is just, you just kind of press it in there, and I'll show you that's what it looks like. And then from the inside, as you can see, it's completely in. So it creates a seal, a watertight seal. Never had these leak ever. Yeah, pretty good to go. Let's move on to the next step. As you can see here, this is a view of the inside. I am trying to figure out how tall I should make my false bottom. This drainage hole is only about 1 inch, so I think I'll be safe with 1.5 inches of false bottom. I really don't want to see it when you look in the front here. That's the last thing I want. I don't want to see a false bottom up to here because then I have to fill it all with gravel. So I think what I'm gonna do, and it takes away some of the space in here. I don't like that. So I'm probably gonna try to make a smaller false bottom, which I think will be good. Yeah. All right. So as you can see here, I made the false bottom. There's just a little bit of room in the front where I can barely get my fingers, maybe 1/4 inch. Fits pretty snugly. I think it's a good shape. I mean, you can move it around just a little bit. So I'm gonna still probably have to use some gravel to fill it in, which is fine, so you don't see the very bottom, but like the white egg crate. But fits good. This is a pain. I always hate cutting this stuff out. Now I got to do the silicone the sides for the so I can do the structure and have the expanding foam adhere to it. So I'm already starting to cut these pieces behind the trash bag there. Just like these, and they're just gonna line the sides like I usually do if you've seen my other videos. So I'm gonna do that and try to get that done quickly, and so I can start the fun part of the hard. All right, so as you can see, I have cut out the egg crate light diffuser and I have siliconed it in, so we're looking pretty good. Just gotta wait for this to dry. Again, the only reason that I do this is because it gives the expanding foam a much better surface to stick to. The glass is just not good enough if you have really heavy things. Some people make it work. I've had things fall, so that's why I do this. But let's move on to the hardscape. All right, everybody. So I didn't film the entire, I know I put a little bit in time lapse of me doing the background, but it just takes so long. So I thought I would show you this. I went ahead and foamed in a lot of the rocks in the wood. So done with that. Filled some spots in with stone dust, which is a pain because you got to smash them up. When I was carving, my screen got caught in my drill bit and ripped the screen, so I kind of tucked it behind there. It didn't mess it up too bad. You can't really tell, but there's a little bit of debris down there. I'm not gonna be able to get that out because I can't get the false bottom. I vacuumed everything out I could. One thing that, you know, for me as new working with these Exo Terrors, I've never really worked with these, is that when you close the glass, you can't, you know, you listen to this. Hear that? So that is the door touching some of the rocks. So you have to have a little bit of space. So I'm still kind of cutting a lot of this stuff back, a lot of the foam. You can't come all the way to the end. So it is what it is, I guess, for these. I've never, like I said, I've never worked with these, but I'm gonna paint a little bit. I wasn't going to. I'm gonna do on the top and where I see some spots. I'm gonna do try to match the slate color with some dry lock and just a tad bit of charcoal. So like spots like up here where I don't wanna have moss. I'm gonna just try to touch up some spots so it doesn't look like foam. And that's about it. I mean, you know, other than that, I'm just gonna put on the water wicking mesh material that's kind of like Hygralon, and that's it. And then really, I'm just gonna wait until I get the stand. I ordered, usually I'm building stands like this, which is gonna be a stand I'm gonna use in my new room, but I just got lazy and ordered, honestly, the stand that fits this Exo Terra perfectly. It's not nothing I really like, it's just, I mean, to be honest, the materials to buy these things to build right now, because lumber prices are high in the pandemic, are astronomical. They're like double what they used to be. So just to build that right there, which is not a lot, that was like five 2x4s and a couple pieces of plywood, sanded plywood. It was over $100. And to get the stain and everything. So it was $180 to buy the Exo Terra stand, which, yeah, it's not as nice as the ones I'm making, but it fits it perfectly, and I just honestly don't have the time to build a stand. It takes a long time for me to do it. I don't have every single tool I need. I need to go somewhere to do it. So anyways, when I'm done this, I'm going to wait until I get the stand, put the stand together, and that's it. So we'll go from there. So as you can see, I have put in this water wicking mesh. This is almost like Hygralon. It's not. It's like speaker fabric. Put it into the nooks and crannies, and you kind of got to press it in. I go through a ton of latex gloves when I do this. As you can see, though, it's I've got it all going back in there, covering the foam. There's some areas where I don't. I also used this Quickcrete. It's a charcoal and dry lock, the great original dry lock, and I painted some of the areas that were like up there that there was foam, but I don't think moss would grow really well. So I think it looks pretty decent. May make some touch-ups, but overall, I mean, there's nothing I can really do about this foam. As you can see right there, I'm a perfectionist. It annoys me, but I don't want to paint the glass, and then I already tried putting painter's tape. It's just too hard. It's not enough space to maneuver around. So it is what it is. I mean, you can't tell that much, but anyways, so I painted some of these areas along the bottom. Again, I think it blended pretty well. It's still wet. And that'll be covered with substrate anyways, but just trying to get it as good as I can. And yeah, so I'm gonna let all this stuff dry, and the next step will be putting it on the stand and planting it, and that's pretty much it. And then just getting the animals at some point, so, which I'll tell you about later. But yeah, a lot of the hard parts done. So let's move on. Real quick, before I forget, I wanted to come back to how we drain this. This is the airline flow valve, which I was telling about. It came in the mail. Fits some airline tube, excuse me, as you can see here. And then it just fits nice and snugly. You got to put the airline tube on both sides. So it fits snugly into here, and then you can drain it. And remember, I got this mentioned on my last video. I started adopting this when I saw Serpa Design do it a few years ago. It's a really great way to drain the tank, and you just kind of open it and close it, and that's how you drain it. So just didn't want to forget that. That's important to having a vivarium. All right, let's talk about plants, kids. So you can see here's a bunch of great green moss that I have. It's a variety of different mosses. I got this from my yard. I'm going to be using this. Also some here that was left over from my last build. And then let's talk about some ferns. I am using 3 different types of ferns. 2 of them I can't even remember the name. This is baby golden tears, golden baby tears. And then there is creeping moss, which is right here, but it's actually a fern. And then there's 3 different other ferns here, and the names escape me, but if you have a question, ask and I'll tell you. And then in here I have peperonia and a croton I'm gonna use. These aren't necessarily native to where this arboreal species I hope to get are from, but I like these. I use these a lot. They grow well in terrariums. And so, yeah, really excited to plant this thing. So let's check it out. Yep. So we have here a 18 by 18 by 24. This is the small Exoterra stand. I just put it together today. Usually I'm trying to make my own stands now, but this is the Exoterra stand. It took me about an hour to put together, and it fits the thing perfectly, which is why I bought it. It's the same level as most of my other stands. Anyways, as you can see, I have everything in here is dried and ready to go. Everything looks pretty decent to start planting and putting the substrate in. As you can see here, I put in gravel all around the front and on the sides. I'm going to black the sides out anyway, so you're not going to see that. Yeah, so let's move on. And as you can see here, I have planted a bunch of moss all over the water wicking fabric and on some of the wood. I have a bunch left that I'm going to plant on the ground. I kind of just want to leave it like this. I mean, it looks so good, but I bought so many damn plants. So we'll see what it all looks like here after I'm done planting. Here we are with everything planted at this point. I'm liking the way this looks. As I'm kind of coming in here, you can see the moss is everywhere. We've got some creeping moss, which is actually a fern. You can see it right there down on the right. Carpeted the whole ground with moss in here as well. Some leaf litter. There's a creeping fig right there, croton plant. There's a peperonia, 3 different kinds of ferns. And then down here I've got, I think, golden baby tears. I've never planted these before. Maybe I planted them once, but see how these will do. I've soaked it down. I'm going to let it chill overnight, and I'm going to add some microfauna. I'll eventually add some isopods, but I'm going to put a bunch of springtails in now, just to kind of jumpstart everything. But yeah, I like the way this looks. I'm going to hook it up to a Mist King here pretty shortly as well. So what you're seeing here is my master tempered springtail culture, charcoal, and then woodlump charcoal, and then I'm using this turkey baster, sump them up with some water in there. Yeah, just feed them. You can feed them dry, dry uncooked rice or bug bites, things like that you can order online. And the mold grows around and they eat it. But yeah, just a couple, you suck these things up and then you dump them in. That's it. Really quick, another thing is that I just applied some Blackout Fabric onto the sides. It's like a matte color. It's not tint, but you put it on like tint with some solution you spray on in a flat credit card or something like that. So anyways, I think it looks pretty slick, so I do that to my sides. And this is the final product. Hooked up the Mist King, have a double nozzle head on it, just kind of blankets everything. It's going to go off twice a day, same schedule as my Tiger Salamander terrarium that I did in my last build, and that's all hooked up to a starter kit. But really happy with the way this thing turned out. Really like the small plants that I put in, the creeping moss, the golden baby tears, the ferns, the croton, and the peperonia. I think it all flows pretty well, gives it some nice color. Really happy with the driftwood. I like the way that it is, with the moss, and it's a good types of moss for this. I think it really goes well. So really happy with this. It didn't take me as long as some of the other ones I've done, which was nice. The background is what always takes the most time. But really like this. Thanks for tuning in and watching it. I think on my next build I'll be doing a fully aquatic setup in a big tank. So that will be a big one. I'll probably wait till I get into my room and have all that set up. But that will be my next big project. And loving this. So, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Really appreciate you guys checking this out. I'm really happy to share it. And really looking forward to sharing the next build and giving you an update on my animal. Stay tuned.